All right, it's been a little bit since I've launched or talked about a new product on the channel, and this is one that I probably should have done very first because it's one of my triedest and truest products I've been using since, I don't know when I discovered this, probably 2007, something like that, 2006. I think that's how long I've been using Collinite, so 10 or 12 years I've been using this product. But this is Collinite 845. This is American made. It's made in Utica, New York. It's actually two brothers who have inherited the company from their father, and they've continued the tradition of making the product. I think one is a chemist and the other is the business guy, the guy that goes out and connects people with the product. And so he and I have had lots of discussions about the product. I couldn't convince him to tell me exactly what's in it, but I will give you some insight into its polymer. And it's carnauba based with some polymer additives. Polymer would generally be something, a polymer based sealant would be again polymer based, and this has some organic elements, some carnauba in it. So this is derived from the same paste wax, Collinite 476, which is a tried and true, long-term used paste wax, a great product. But this comes in a bit more of a liquid form with some polymer additives that for whatever they put together, it just works. You get depth like very few carnauba based wax will give you, but then more beading, more durability. You generally get a nice hybrid hydrophilic / hydrophobic type reaction to things that come to the paint, on the paint. Massive beading is not necessarily a great thing, because if you have lots of beads, the beads sit on the paint. As the beads dry, it etches. When water beads, the paint is still holding on, or the surface is still holding on. There's too much surface tension, and so you want it to be more hydrophilic, where things will slide off the surface. And so this is a nice combination. It'll still give you some beads if that makes you happy, but in generally the beads will collect and then fall off the surface, and so you get decent water reaction. Nowhere near some of these silicon dioxide based coatings, but still very good, fun water reaction to it. So the product is, we'll call it a hybrid carnauba based wax, and it comes in right now, because it's about 80 degrees out here in Central Florida on a February afternoon. So notice we have it is liquid, but it will harden up. One thing you could do is throw it in, kind of like a baby bottle, put it in some hot water, as you're starting to prep the surface for wax, just to get it to soften up a little bit. Even then, you probably don't need to do it. You can just turn it upside down, squirt a little bit on. You don't need a lot of it onto the wax applicator pad, and you're good to go. So anyway, the way that I use this is I'll top it with, this will be the topping agent, but I'll put a layer of Jescar PowerLock Plus. So this is a polymer sealant. There's no wax in this as far as I know. And so what I generally do is I would polish the car, prep the surface using a Carpro eraser or isopropyl alcohol, and then I would put Jescar PowerLock on using an Adams little foam applicator pad. This is a yellow one. I use the yellow one with Jescar. I'll have both of these in the store shortly, but I would put a coat of this on, again, just like wax, put it on nice and thin. This stuff comes off like a dream. I'll have a whole nother video series on this product. But the polymer sealant as the base layer, put it on. By the time I finish the entire car, I wipe it off, so I'll apply it to the entire car, the entire painted surfaces. I don't use this on glass, and then I'll come back and wipe it off with my wax or red wax removal towel that we have in the Obsessed Garage store. I don't know why they suggest this, but the directions suggest a 3-hour curing time. So after I install or apply, wipe off. I'll then wait 3 hours, so go grab some lunch, take a nap. I'll come back, and then we'll put our 845 on. Now you don't have to use this you don't have to use 845 as a topping agent. This is just what my experience has worked really well. By the way, this stuff doesn't always communicate, meaning that you can't always just throw Carnauba polymers, silicon dioxide, all these different inorganic things don't always bond well with organic things like Carnauba-based wax. So you need to just either test it, try it, or just listen to me. That PowerLock Plus does work well with Collinite, or I guess it would be vice versa. Collinite does work well with PowerLock. So PowerLock is my base. I then will put a layer 3 hours later of Collinite. You'd use a similar applicator pad. I use the red version. Again, a little goes a long way. I have a tendency to do the entire car. So I'll start on the hood, work my way down to the fender, down to the door, to the roof, work my way all the way around. By the time I come back around, I'm ready to wipe off. The thicker you put this on, the harder it is to take off. If you just so happen to put it on too thick, one thing you could use, which I also use as my drying aid, would be something like Optimum Spray Wax. You could spritz a little spray wax on there, and that'll help it, soften up in order to wipe it off. This should go on and come off really easily. It shouldn't be extremely hard. Now, PowerLock goes on and off, comes off like butter. This comes off. This is more like coming off like if you were buttering toast. It takes a little bit more effort to get it off, but it's not. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to buff out the panel. It should come off. If you are buffing out, you probably put too much on. So one trick could be maybe try the hood first, let it set up, let it haze over, then wipe it off, and you'll know if you put too much or too little on. So you may need to revisit the pad, applying a little bit more of the product a few times. That's about it. So what I generally would do is put a coat on, and then I would wait 12 hours or so. You don't have to do this, or I'm largely making this up, but I'll put this on, and 12 hours later, maybe overnight, come back and I'll throw another coat on, and then we're good for protection is 6 to 8 months, depending on what you're doing. If your car sits outside, gets rained on, sits in the sun 24/7, this is probably going to be 4 to 6 months. My tendency, especially using Optimum Spray Wax, you could use Meguiar's D156 Spray Wax, Griot's Spray Wax. They call it spray on wax. But if you use any of those products, you'll be able to you'll increase longevity. I use those as drying aids when I'm drying with the product. One thing you will not want to do is use anything silicon dioxide based, at least the 2 or 3 things that I've tried using, like for instance Geon Can Coat, the one I've used the most, CarPro Hydro 2. I try using something like CarPro Reload. These products have silicon dioxide in them. It doesn't play well with most Carnaubas. This also doesn't play well. What will happen is it'll work well a couple of times, and then you'll start to get a film, like a real crunchy feel to the top of the surface. It won't hurt anything. It'll just feel really, really contaminated. And so I would guess there's something to do with the bonding of the organic-based material and the inorganic silicon dioxide. Just something I don't think you want to go there and mess with. It doesn't work very well. So if you are going to use a drying aid, you can use most detail sprays, Adams, you name it. Name your detail spray. Meguiar's, pick one. They all should do okay on top of this, as long as they don't have silicon dioxide in it. So anyway, that's Collinite 845. I'm sure I'll have more videos coming up. I kind of need to buy another car because all my cars are coated right now and testing different coatings. At times I want to just strip all these coatings off and put this back on. This is great stuff. It's much less expensive. The thing you have to keep in mind is that you could buy 845 for what, a little less than 19 bucks a bottle, buy a couple of applicator pads. Again, you can put this on straight. You don't have to have a corrected car. You don't have to polish the car beforehand. You should, but you don't have to. You don't have to have other sealants to top it with. You don't even have to have drying aids. In fact, every 2 months you can go and reapply this. Now your paint might not look perfect, but using something like this is a good tried and true method, or a good tried and true product that'll give you lots of protection Of course, no correction, but protection. This also doesn't fill very well, so there's no glaze component to this, but it'll do a great job at giving you the shine, that pop that you're looking for. One last thing I'll mention, generally after applying the product, your car is going to look fantastic after you've applied it and removed it. Then maybe 2 days later you come out and you notice, oh my gosh, I can see all the circle application marks, and you start freaking out. What you're seeing is the oil's being released, oil's coming to the surface. I would urge you, don't get out a towel and start wiping, especially if the car's dirty. What you'll do is wait till your next wash, and it'll come off just fine. Shoot, I've waited 2 weeks where I had a little bit of hazing that showed up after it heated up, and cured, and have had no issues removing it. So just know that as a little thing you need to know about the product and how it would, a little quirk that you'll need to know. Happens pretty much every time. You won't notice on a white car or maybe a silver car, but you'll definitely notice on any colored car. You're going to notice the oils come to the surface, and you're going to need to wipe it again. Resist the temptation to go out and start buffing off your newly corrected and good, nice looking paint. Wait till your next wash. You don't need to do anything different in your wash cycle. Just wash it like normal. Use your Optimum spray wax to top it and use as your drying aid, and you'll be good to go. So anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more products. Again, Jess Car, the Adams foam blocks, all the wax removal towels are already in the store. All this stuff will be available so that you can wax your car just like I do. Thanks for watching. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.